Thank you. Hi, everybody. So that's Gary. Looks good, huh? Yeah. You know he's single, ladies. I just thought I'd put that out into the universe. He'll be, let him finish his job here first, because he's got enough to think about, but I'm sure he'll be around afterwards. And he loves being told how brilliantly he did. So make sure you do that. It's a delight to be here to speak in front of you. My mission today is to help you to get to manager. I have two simple goals, actually. I want to, over the next 30 minutes, give you enough information, inspiration to change your business and change your life. Very simple. And the route to changing your business, the route to having enough income to change your life, is the position of manager. I'm not going to do a training on these case credits and these case credits and these case credits, because the detail can get you bogged down. What we need to do is focus on the goal. Focus on the goal of manager and eagle manager. And it's really very, very simple to do that. We need to, in the short space of time, have an attitude of massive commitment and massive action. That does not mean you need to dedicate 12 hours a day or 10 hours a day to the business. You just need to dedicate your heart and soul to getting to manager and getting to eagle manager. And the more you dedicate it, the quicker you're going to get there, and the quicker your life will be changed beyond all recognition. Manager is the pivotal position in our marketing plan. And I would encourage you to think of the other positions, assistant supervisor, assistant manager, as stepping stones on the way there, as waypoints. I'd encourage you not to set those positions as your goal, but simply measuring points on the way to your goal, which is manager. Because often if we set our goals too low, we can stumble and stick at that level. I don't want anybody in this room to stick on a level lower than that which they are capable of. And I know every single person here has the potential to build a massive business. I've seen it time and time again, people of all shapes and sizes from all backgrounds. I thought probably the best way to illustrate what we need to do was invite two managers up there. In fact, eagle managers. They qualified as eagle manager last year. And they asked me what I wanted them to say. And I said, there's no need to prepare. So what you're about to see here is entirely unrehearsed, entirely unprepared. They are a tad nervous. But I said they'll be safe with me. So I thought that rather than listen to me, it would be better to listen to two experts on getting to manager, on building a manager business. So please welcome Claire Copping and Julie Richards. So this is a real privilege for me. God, they're a bit bouncy, these, aren't they? I wasn't expecting that sort of... This is a real privilege for me because I'm sure I'm going to learn some things because you are two of the top people in our business. I know you're far too modest to have said that yourself, so I've said it to put that out there. I know that we're going to learn a huge amount from you because you're both experts in your field. All I want to know is actually what you do and how it makes you feel. First of all, Claire, let me ask you, how does it feel? How did it feel for you when you got to manager?
It was a huge relief, weight off my shoulder in a way. It meant that I didn't have to go and get a job. My redundancy money, I was redundant from the BBC, and the money was running out, and if I didn't get there, then I was going to have to go and get a job. It meant that I could do this, that maybe I can do this. It gave me that huge confidence boost that maybe I do sort of know what I'm doing. But it was then A bit like if you're doing a degree or you're studying or something, you spend all that time doing your essays and your assignments, and then you do your degree, and then you go, oh, now I can get on with the job. And it was just that sense of, rather than focusing on me getting to manager, I could now focus on helping the team. And it just took all that focus away from me and focus onto the team. And it was really exciting and opened up so many other things like Car Plan and 100 Club. So it meant masses, meant absolutely masses for me.
Eagle manager.
Eagle manager. And then Eagle, and achieving Eagle manager. At the time, Eagle wasn't there, but Eagle manager, absolutely huge.
So that was interesting, you saying that getting to manager actually gave you confidence in your ability to do it. So weren't you massively confident all the time from the beginning?
No. No, I struggled with confidence all my life, and I still do. So, yeah, no, not at all. Not at all.
Okay, so when you set a goal to go manager, were there times when you thought you might not do it?
Absolutely. It was the 1st of March 2007. I was an assistant manager on about 11 case credits. Hadn't really got much for business. I'd got to assistant manager and it had all kind of gone. And I just knew I had to do it. And I'd got for the 1st of March and I got there at the end of July. And yeah, I was making calls every day and still nobody was joining. I think it was 9 weeks of making 15 calls a week and nobody had joined. And I just remember Chris and Alan had said, your job is to make the calls, just the numbers will work. And then suddenly 10 in a month joined. So it just works. I thought, I have to keep believing that this will work. And
So
I just
sorry,
kept
I'm not
going.
quite sure we all heard that. How many in a month joined all of a sudden after your
It
drought?
wasn't in the same calendar month, unfortunately, but it was across a month's period that there were 10 in a calendar, in a month's period.
So that must have boosted your confidence at Taj.
Absolutely. I then went, I think that second month was the month that I qualified as manager.
Okay. So when you weren't feeling confident, what did you do to maintain your motivation levels?
I was going to a BP every week and, sometimes I'd sit at home thinking, oh, it's not working, I'm not going to go to the BP tonight. I haven't got a guest, another one's cancelled. It's not going to work, it's not going to work. And I'd say, no, I've got to go. And I'd go to the BP and I think, I'm so glad I came today because today is the day that I heard something that I really thought, I needed to hear. So going to the regular BPs was really, really important for me, for my confidence and for my reassurance that I was doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And the other trainings, reading books, I found it really easy to put CDs in the car, and I listened to CDs all the time, and so it was kind of going in while I was concentrating on driving. It was going in, listening to loads and loads of different CDs.
Okay, so you felt learning was highly motivational,
Absolutely,
being around other people at the BPs.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about success days? Was that
I think I've missed 2 in 5 years, and I just couldn't help but miss them. I had to miss them, but or in 6 years. So this is my shot of adrenaline every single month. Wouldn't miss it.
Okay, so when you're feeling discouraged, disillusioned on your way to manager, those days where you think it's not working, did you? What kinds of things did you do? Did you just give up until you felt better? And
No, because I knew that if I didn't carry on doing the calls and talking to people and one-to-ones and the basics that we've heard about this morning, that I wasn't going to achieve it. And I just kept, for me, it was about filling in that pipeline every week. And that was my job, was just to put a name and a number and some details on that form, forgetting about the outcome, that my job was just to do the activity and just to believe that it would happen.
Okay, so doing the basics that we've heard about, just to summarise, the basics being?
Contacting people every day, speaking to people every day about the business, building my customer base, doing pup boxes, doing table sales, going to events, talking to customers, going to networking groups, just, the retail basics. There was a really brilliant analogy, if it's all right to share it, that, well, in fact, Adam shared a brilliant analogy about the plane on the runway taking off and that you've got to go full throttle. No point in having a plane if you just taxi up and down, and that was fantastic. And then I think it was Jan and Jane talked about this business is like a plane. You are the body, and that you've got to have things in balance. So the wings are, one wing is retailing and products, and the other wing is sponsoring. And you can't just retail and not sponsor because the plane won't go anywhere. You can't just sponsor and not retail because the plane won't go anywhere. And then the tail is the trainings and the events and the that kind of thing. But you've got to know why you're doing it, to have that full throttle of motivation to absolutely keep you going full pelt. And for me, it was keeping my son in private school and not having to go back to work. That was everything.
Fantastic. And do you live in the same place that you were living then?
No, we don't. We moved down to Eastbourne in September, and that's what this business can allow you to do, is to live anywhere. And very similar to Kay's story, and it's just fantastic. It's a 3-minute, 45-second walk to the beach. Not that I counted. And it's just, I timed it. And it's fabulous. I choose, when I want to work and live by the sea. It's fabulous.
Brilliant. Thank you, Claire. So, Julie, what did going manager mean to you?
It meant a great deal because I was under the threat of redundancy at the time.
Sorry, you were still working full-time then when you first started?
Yeah, I was still working full-time. My background's corporate, and I worked in the private medical insurance industry. I was under threat of redundancy, and I was really scared because I think I was quite hung up about being at this time of my life, and I think to walk into a job at the same level as I had would have been extremely difficult. And Keith, my husband, had started to make noises like we need to cut back on our lifestyle, which was horrible. And but also,
I bet that went down well.
It didn't go down very well at all, no. So when I came across the business initially, I thought I had my hands on something that perhaps could create an income of £200 or £300 a month. It took me probably about 4 or 5 weeks to realise what I had my hands on, and the way I did that was by every single week going to the business presentation. And each time I went, another piece of the jigsaw puzzle went into place. And I thought, just maybe. I didn't know if I could do this. I didn't know if I could be successful. I had some real hang-ups, like, oh my God, what are my friends going to think? Oh my goodness me, they're going to be jumping into shop doorways when they see me coming. And they were real fears at the time, real big thoughts or blockers. So, but I went to the business presentation each week. I worked alongside a fantastic coach and mentor, which was Alison Woodley. And I needed to build to manager quickly because I wanted not to be fearful anymore. I wanted to be in a place where I'd have freedom to choose about the rest of my life and not have to worry about going and proving myself at this time in my life. So, so that's what I did.
So did you pack your job in and then go manager?
No, I worked for 2 years. I actually wasn't made redundant at that time when I thought I was going to be. I was made redundant 2 years later. But that was absolutely fantastic. I mean, I worked just very part-time flexible hours because like lots of people, I didn't have any spare time. So I just found some by changing some things in my life. And the more I learned, the more I loved about what I was doing. And in 6 months, I went to the position of manager. And in 20 months, I matched my full-time income, or my full-time take-home.
This was while you still were working?
While I was still working. And that was fabulous because I was then made redundant 6 months later. And although that was a horrendous process because there was about 300 of us, some people came into my business that were open-minded enough, but lots and lots didn't. I actually inside was celebrating because it now gave me, I got a package, of course, from the company because I've been there a long time, but it also now was giving me the hours, the extra hours I could put in my business to build it bigger because I had decided I so loved this business. I'm very passionate about it. So that was great.
So how much time around your full-time job, what kind of time did you put into your forever business?
Okay, to go manager.
And what did you do?
Okay, to go manager, I was working at the most only 10 hours a week. But Alison taught me to be really smart with my time. And she taught me what you do with those hours. It doesn't matter if you only have 10 hours. It's what you do with it. And what I did with it was I focused, I learnt. My 6 months to manager was, for me, like my apprenticeship. I wanted to learn this business inside out, although having said that 4 years later, you're still learning all the time. But I wanted to learn this business inside out so that I could enable others, because by then I was feeling absolutely amazing about what I had my hands on and how it was changing our life. And what I wanted to do was to be able to show others how they could do the same thing. So that, exactly as Claire said, was really focusing on the basics, working smart with my 10 hours.
Doing what?
So making the calls, talking to I talked to everybody that stood still long enough. Did I worry about my friends? Did they start jumping into shop doorways? No, they didn't. Well, not to my knowledge, they didn't. And I have friends that are not supportive, and I have friends that I have been quite hurt over, like probably everybody in the room. But you just have to get over that. You have to get over it, because actually people don't think about you very much. They only think about you. They're all far too busy doing their thing. And what I learned was that as I was developing in this business, because that was another huge thing for me, Alison actually said to me, when I can remember it really well in the early days, she said, "You're really developing this business, your personal development." And quietly in my head, I thought, I've got to this stage in my life, and I had a good job. I don't think so, personal development. And it's been massive, absolutely massive. So making the calls, retailing, we did a really good planning meeting, the first planning meeting, so it was going out there doing my 4 launches in 6 weeks and talking to
4
people.
launches in 6 weeks. So doing your 4 case credits, was that a struggle for you?
No, I thought it would be a massive struggle in the beginning. In fact, I can remember seeing that at the business presentation and thinking, that's it. I knew it was too good to be true.
I thought the same. I thought this diamond manager thing, that's dead easy, but that 4 case credits, I'm not sure I can do that.
But Alison showed me how to, and working with her, and then doing a bit more. Yeah, because I think the most important thing about this business is it's learn a bit, do a bit, learn a bit, do a bit, not go and learn everything before you go out there and do it. So I did lots of that, learn a bit, do a bit. And I did 4 case credits in my first month, and I have never, ever missed my 4 case credits. But that, to me, is a massive sense of pride. Because if you're going to be a leader of other people and help them to be successful in life, how can you not do your 4 case credits? And actually, just by talking to people, I retail my 4 case credits. I also focus, lots of people here know this, but I focus on the weight management plan. And that was putting lots of CCs into my business as well. So combination of retailing, talking to people, bringing people on building, making loads of mistakes along the way.
4 CCs is not an option. It must have been the same for you, Claire.
Absolutely. I didn't join to do the business. I went to a friend's product launch. She'd started a business. I'd seen the same advert that she saw, but I was too scared to ring the advert. I thought that the person on the other phone would be a scary businesswoman. So I didn't ring because I was facing redundancy. But I went to support her launch. And I wanted £120 worth of products at the end of it, because Michelle Pointer was doing the launch, everything she brought out the box I wanted. And I remember going up to Michelle at the end of the launch and saying, "Can I just have one of those boxes? I know my friend bought. I'm not doing the business. I'm not doing the business. I'm never having people around to my house, and I'm never standing in front of anybody. I just want one of those boxes." And she went, "All right then." But that was that in the November. And then she just said all about this. She said, "Come to a success day." It was about a week or so later. And I came to the December success day and went, "Oh my goodness, this just, don't understand it, but I like the way I feel. I like these people." Yeah. And then I did my 4 case credits that month and every month ever since.
Okay, so you don't feel you have to understand it to do it. Let's
No,
learn a bit, do a bit.
Excited. Excited.
It's good advice.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you on that run up to manager? Did you feel positive every day? Did you feel you were on track?
I didn't feel positive every day, because not everything went according to plan. This is real life. But I felt positive most of the time, and I was incredibly excited. And what I found with that, I couldn't believe at this time in my life that I was going to bed at night excited and waking up not,
Sorry, Keith.
I'm waking up excited in the morning.
Oh, nice one, Keith.
I've gone now. No, but I just thought, I thought that was amazing. And also the other thing that I felt for the first time in my life was truly valued. That was massive for me, because I think I did a good job before when I worked for a boss, when I worked hundreds of hours and didn't get paid for all the hours, etc., etc. But in this business, I have never in my life felt as valued as I do now.
I agree. Couldn't agree more.
Fantastic. I'm sure everybody has learnt a lot from listening to what they have to say. And I've learned a lot. I know I've worked closely with both of you, and I'm really grateful you've shared these thoughts with us. So just in close, you've replaced your full-time income with your part-time home-based micro business.
That wasn't gonna
And you
do.
worked at the BBC, and you know they pay decent money at the BBC. And tell us what your income is. Julie.
Okay, we just had our best month in the last 4 years in March. And I think I'd just like to backtrack, because about 14 months ago I had a one-to-one planning with you, and I remember then our income each month was about £1,500. And you said, what's the next step up then? What are you looking for income-wise? And I said, £2,000 would be great. And you laughed. And you said, £2,000 will come and go. If you carry on doing the basics, just continuing like you are, talking to others, showing others how to build this business. And I can remember getting in the car on the way home from that with Keith and saying, Andy said £2,000 will just come and go. I'm not sure, but, you know. And
I mean, you didn't believe me.
And our check last month, if we take our UK bonus from here, our retail, and our very exciting growing business, global business, it was 4,000.
Sorry, so just say that again. Very exciting.
Global business.
So you've got a global business.
Yeah, we've got a very exciting business in Canada.
Yeah.
And so if I put all that together, we were about £2 short of £4,000.
Okay. It's not bad, eh? Not bad. And obviously, now you've got momentum that's continuing to grow. So how long is it since we had that meeting where you're hoping for 2,000?
It was about 14 months ago.
So in 14 months, in fact, it got to 2,000 within 2 or 3
Yeah.
months. So within a year, it's doubled again.
Yeah.
So within another year, we're going to be
We're
starting.
going to double again.
Yeah.
But can you imagine going to...
I don't think they heard that. I don't think they heard that.
No, well, as I said it, I was sorry the words came out of my mouth.
No, don't. It's,
What
it
I
will.
was,
Listen, I see what you do. It will.
what I think's really important though is, can you imagine going to a boss or having a job in whatever field you're in, and in 14 months doubling your income? Wouldn't happen anywhere
Not
else.
unless you had some photographs of him. No, you're absolutely right. It's been fantastic. Thank you both so much. Stay there. We just want to... I'm particularly pleased. Give them a round of applause. I'm particularly pleased you had so much to share with us, because I, of course, hadn't prepared any material. So, because I knew you'd fill the time completely. Let's just get this final slide, because happily, what they had to share with us is what I prepared, because getting to manager is the same for all of us. We need to master the basics. And to master the basics, we need to learn on the job. Learn a bit, do a bit. That is the key. What are the basics? We need to learn how to attract customers. You get together with your sponsor, your upline. They'll have loads of different ways that you can attract customers into your business. Pick a few that you want to apply and start doing the doing. How to sponsor distributors. It's really important to learn how to attract people to take a look at the business, invite people to one-to-ones, invite people to business presentations. It's the business presentation that's the secret ingredient in building your business, because it's that where people will get their vision. And a really important element of the basics is how to stay motivated. A common theme for the two of you, for all of us, is that we get dejected, disheartened. We think it's not going to work. We have down days. We start to believe the negativity around us. We get knocked when things don't go according to plan. That is because we are human beings. That's what it's like. It's important to be able to pick yourself up. And I have found, and both of you said you committed to go to business presentations regularly, success days, and it's listening to CDs in the car, reading books. It's these things that elevate your motivation when the rest of the world's trying to suppress it. And the most important thing to learn, I think, is that you are responsible for your own motivation. If you decide not to go to the business presentation, you are choosing not to input that motivation into you. And that motivation will keep you on track. And if you keep on track doing the basics, you will definitely get to manager and beyond. It's also important, we've heard, to have a plan, to sit down and have a planning meeting where you sketch out the things that we're going to do on a daily basis, a weekly basis, the case credits we need to achieve each week, the activities we're going to do in order to hit these. Everybody's plan in its detail is going to be different. What is the same about all of us is that we need a plan. So sit down with somebody who knows what they're doing in your upline and put a proper plan together, one that you believe you can make happen. And then start doing the doing, learning the learning, doing the doing. So we need weekly goals, we need monthly case credit goals, activity goals. How many people am I going to speak to? Doing the calls. Your job is to do the calls. These are things we've heard from both Claire and Julie. And learn volume mapping. Don't learn volume mapping from a book. You learn it from doing it every day. Because one thing I've learned is you map the volume that it's going to look like at the end of this week, and it's either more or less. And so you need to start again, and as you get closer to manager, your plan is going to be off track either positively or negatively day by day, and we need to be doing a new volume map every day. We need to sit down with our sponsor, our upline manager, do a new volume map. Where are we today? Where are we going? How do we improve it? Where's it going well? Where do we need to focus some attention? And it's volume mapping that will do that. I felt that it would be most helpful to try and give you some insight as to why these things are important and why you need to take responsibility to go and talk to your upline, somebody who's an expert in your upline, to help you to achieve it. The detail you'll put together with them, but one thing I know for absolute certainty, if you don't put a plan together, you're just going to drift and you're not going to achieve the things that you want to achieve. I'd like to thank Claire and Julie. You are magnificent, as we all expected. It's been very enlightening, and I'd like to thank you for listening to us. Thank you very much.